You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into...
Deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Harry.
And the truth shall set you free!
Boom! What is up, everybody? Welcome to another very special Friday edition of 8192 The Truth. This is Kevin Brotherson Cernier, and for my co-host, Joel, the godfather of everything Supernaut, we welcome you to another classic show. We have foregone the call-in format just for this week because we had a lot to talk about, a lot we wanted to go over, and this was a prime opportunity. So I hope you enjoy. But first, again, the show is brought to you by Cernier Fit and the Dolce Diet. You've heard about him. You've seen the results. 100% success rate within the UFC. Not once ever has Mike Dolce, four-time MMA Trainer of the Year, had one of his fighters miss weight. He is now bringing that program to you, to the masses, to Joe's six-pack. Go to thedolcediet.com. Sign up for either the 3 weeks to shred, where you can lose 21 pounds in 21 days, or sign up for the 8-week Living Lean program, or hell, sign up for both. Put yourself in the best possible position to gain lifelong sustainable results. This is not a diet. This is not a fad. This is a lifestyle change, and it could not be easier. Be full, be satiated, eat 2,000 plus calories a day, 6 plus meals a day, all while losing weight, getting fit, and looking better than you've ever looked before. And really, at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Sure, we all want to live longer, we all want to be healthier, but we want to look better in the mirror. We want to look better for that person that we share the bed with. We want to look good. And the Dolce Diet will help you do just that. So sign up for either the 3 weeks to shred, or the 8-week Living Lean, or sign up for the customized 100% personalized in every aspect My Diet plan. Use the code Cernier10 at checkout and save yourself 10%. That's right, not $10, 10%. Regardless of the cost, you will save yourself 10%. That's SURNEAR10. Use the code Cernier10 at checkout and you will save 10%. Where else are you going to find that deal, huh? Who's better than me? Bringing you a lifetime of health and happiness. TheDolceDiet.com. Cernier10 at checkout. 10%. Boom. Gone. Gratis. On the arm. There you go. You're welcome. And now, on to the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 8192 The Truth. I am Joel D. Supernaw, and my partner, Kevin Brotherson Cernier, is with me pillar to post today. What's up, Kevin?
Yo, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. So let me ask you a couple questions. Did you get – are you much – I know you're a sports guy, pretty close to me. I mean, I know the NCAA football's coming up. You can't wait for that. You're a big Notre Dame fan. Are you much of a baseball fan?
Absolutely. Yeah, just we actually were at the Indians game this weekend. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Okay, cool. So You're probably like me in the middle of the season. There's that period at the All-Star game. It's very interesting now that Ladd is a diehard Cub fan. He's got 4 days without baseball. There's other side of that too. As I've gotten older and kind of learned a little bit about life and traveling and this, that, and the other, that baseball season is just so long. I mean, it is just so long, 162 games. It's just crazy. So we're at the All-Star break, and I think the highlight of the All-Star break for us, for me and Ladd, was the Home Run Derby. Did you get a chance to see the Home Run Derby?
Absolutely.
So they've changed the rotation. It is, if anyone's ever just went and tried to crush baseballs for, I think those periods, were they 3-minute periods or 4-minute? They might have been 4-minute periods. So the guys, Kyle Schwarber of the Cubs got to the finals. He ended up losing, and he hit 55 home runs. Bryce Harper with the Washington Nationals, who is positioning himself for the biggest contract in pro sports. And he's doing it off of numbers that adequate to today's baseball. He's batting .219. But before I get to that, so Bryce Harper wins the batting championship. He wins it in his home park in Washington, D.C. Big hero, standing ovation, really a good thing. His dad's pitching to him. Bryce Harper's a baseball player. He loves playing baseball. They ask him, is the season too long or this, that, and the other? And he's like, man, I could run 162 straight. I love playing baseball. I love to hear that. I absolutely love to hear that. So, but a bigger point is he is positioning himself. His agents are positioning himself to get a 10-year contract. And the kind of money that they're talking about, I want to say $400 million. I want to say that they believe that Bryce Harper is going to get somewhere over the contract between $300 and $400 million, which isn't surprising, seeing that the NBA is making so much money and paying the players so much money. But anyway, so Bryce Harper is positioning himself for the biggest contract in the history of professional sports. And he's doing it batting .219.
Yeah, I agree. What allocates or what merits being a all-star or a high-dollar player in baseball nowadays is a far cry from what it used to be. But yeah, to hit .219 this season and be up for that kind of money is absurd.
Yeah, so they have.
I mean, he's a great player. He's young. He's had much better years. I think he's a down this year, but yeah.
So I've spoken before about sabermetrics. They call the different statistics in baseball sabermetrics, and it was the Cubs had to come back. They played the Cardinals last night. They won. Makes our life good. And Alex Rodriguez just said, man, these numbers are crazy. The Cubs won 9-6 last night, and they only hit one home run. They were moving guys around. They were playing baseball. They were playing baseball, and the brains in the professional baseball league, the geeks up top that are crunching the numbers, truly believe those sabermetrics. They're saying that even though he's hitting .219, he has a high on-base percentage. His OPS, whatever the hell that is, I have no idea, it is high. He wins against replacement. I don't know what those things mean. I'm not interested in learning them. But what I do know is he's batting .219. And his team, he's the star of the team. They have a great team. They're loaded with talent. Now, they might come out and be like the Cubs last year and go 25 games over 500 in the second half. But right now, they're 5 games in back of the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. He's batting .219, and he's positioning himself for the highest contract in the history of baseball. And I think you got a guy like Yu Darvish for the Chicago Cubs who comes over, signs a $126 million contract, and he's been on the disabled list all year. I don't think he's going to come back. I think he's damaged goods. I don't think he'll ever be even a 500 pitcher. I think his noodles shook. So, man, I think the owners are going to have to look long and hard at these guaranteeing a contract. Now, Bryce Harper, he's as close to a sure thing as you can get. He might be down, but he's still got 23 home runs. He's going to hit 40 and drive in 100 runs. Those are huge numbers. But you want a guy like you want your star player, batting .270. So yeah. I thought the highlight, I loved watching the home run derby. I think that was the highlight of the game. They've went back and forth on trying to make the All-Star game mean something. So that it was the American League's won like 6 years in a row. They're just drubbing the National League. And they went for years, whoever won that game got home field advantage in the World Series. Well, that wasn't fair. So now I think they're back to just playing for whatever. So Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Brewers are right behind the Cubs, so I'm not a big fan of him. But I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy from Adam. He's got long hair. He strikes out more people than anybody else. He goes out to pitch, I want to say the 8th inning, either the 7th or the 8th inning. He's got his family in the audience. It's his first All-Star game. His family's there. They're all wearing his jersey and everything, just proud as peacocks. He goes out there and I don't think he gets through. If he gets through the inning, he only gets one guy out, and he gives up a 3-run home run, or 2 or 3 run home run. So he has a bad outing. He comes in to the dugout, guys. So, man, we talk about how crazy the world is with the social media, and billionaires, these are not billionaires, but millionaires, the best players in baseball, they're at the All-Star game and they're filming stuff for their Instagram account. They're on Twitter. They're during the game, these players are spending their time hooked to those phones. Well, anyway, it goes viral that while he's pitching, before he gets to the dugout, it goes viral that when he was 17, he made a bunch of homophobic remarks on Twitter and racist remarks on Twitter. Now, some of it was interspersed with lyrics of songs, but he never went back and cleaned it up, and it was vile and vulgar, and he walks in to the clubhouse, or he walks into the dugout, and guys are just looking at him like, oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was years ago, but wow, yeah, for something like that, that's the problem. I mean, you can't, once you do something today, you cannot take it away. It is there, as they tell you to tell your kids. You get something on the internet, it's there forever. And to come off of a third of an inning pitched with a 27.0 ERA, and to have everybody just look at you. I can't even imagine. Man,
I tell you, so let's dig into this a little bit. So he wears it. He does his level best of just wearing it, man. He goes in, he says, man, hold on, let me back this up. So this guy's paid millions of dollars, which means his agent is paid quite a bit of money. His agent is paid a bunch of money. He's a star player for the for the Milwaukee Brewers. They have a whole front office. How does this slip? How does his social media not get scrubbed? It's mind blowing to me that stuff would be out there. Now, with that said, man, this is something that he said when he was 17 years old. He's 24. He was in high school.
Yeah.
Not sure if you remember John Rocker of the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, absolutely. I love John Rocker.
Okay, all-star pitcher.
He's a character.
All-star pitcher, and he didn't. They didn't have tweets and Twitters back then, but he just came out and made some pretty strong and vile comments that ruined his career. He was done.
Oh, completely racist. Yeah.
So
He's a good old Southern boy.
Yeah. So you got this guy wearing it. He's just like, hey man, I'm sorry, I said these things. I was a kid. They don't reflect my beliefs. And man, we're in this society that accepts vulgarity, absolute vulgarity and bullying and everything out of the White House, out of the president. We accept that. Okay? I'm not talking politics. I'm just talking his behavior is brutish. Okay? So half of America is okay with that brutish behavior. I wonder, in that same demographic, how many people are outraged at this Josh Hader. But he said, he said those things, and people jump up on a bandwagon. Man, what if it was your kid? What if it was your kid that said those things, and he's 24, he's still a young man. What do you do, Kevin? I mean, what do you do as a parent? Don't you just grab the microphone and say, get off his back, like old Chris Weidman's dad? That's my son. That was pretty cool. But what do you do in this case? Does this guy got to go to sensitivity training? I know the Major League Baseball is making him, so that looks like they've done something and they don't tolerate hate, this, that, and the other. But don't we just give this guy a pass?
Yes. I mean, anything prior to age 18, is it acceptable? Not really. But anything prior to adulthood, you can't hold anyone accountable to as an adult, especially something like this. I mean, he was a kid. No one person can say they never did anything they regret as a teenager. It's just unfortunate for today's young adults and teenagers that everything is made public through social media. So no, sensitivity training, absolutely not. Should the organization make a statement, say they've spoken with him? Yes. But at the end of the day, he was a child. 17 maybe, still a child. As his parent, yes. You stand behind him, you say, hey, I don't agree with it. If you want to make a statement, I don't agree with what he said. But again, he was a child. You're not in your right mind, any of us, until 25 years old. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing. You're developing your personality. You've got all sorts of influences. You don't know which way is up half the time as a teenager, and you leave it at that. But yes, to your point earlier, I don't put it on him. Somebody in the organization dropped the ball. There should be one person at least dedicated in every professional sports organization to constantly be monitoring every social media account of every player they have on the roster, especially someone that's one of the faces of their franchise. That should be their sole and only job.
I tell you, now his teammate, Lorenzo Cain, came out and said, listen, he was young. We say stupid things when we're young. I know the guy. He's pretty cool. But then he also said that is exactly why I don't mess with social media. And absolutely, man, people, it's just such a different world that we live in. I want to write a note down real quick about, bring me back to Michael Chiesa sometime in this show. All right. So now you bring up a good point about, okay, hey, anything under 17-year-olds, you kind of get a pass, this, that, and the other. Now let's go. Now we're going to get a little dirty, Sin. Oregon State won the NCAA baseball title this year. Their star pitcher, Luke Helmwick, he admitted when he was 15 took a plea deal, 15 of some shenanigans with his niece, his brother's daughter, his niece. And not just shenanigans. He said, he admitted he molested her. Now, he took a deal. He was 15. It was never supposed to come out. It comes out last year right before the NCAA championships. So the Oregon State Beavers, they suspend him for the rest of the year, and he's done every single thing that he's supposed to do in terms of he's through the probation. He did everything he was supposed to do. He's been a model citizen. This comes out. It wasn't supposed to come out. They're supposed to have those things blocked. This year, you don't really hear that much about it until you get to the NCAA baseball tournament. Now this is one of the best pitchers in all of college baseball, has went through two NFL or Major League Baseball drafts and hadn't gotten drafted. What do we say about this? Now he says, "Hey, I didn't do it. I took a deal. It was for the family. I took a deal." Now him and his brother do not talk. They don't come around. They're not in the same place. So what about something like that, Sin? How do we? Is it fair for this young man to? Is it fair for him to not be able to be a professional baseball player because he did something vile and disgusting when he was 15 years old?
Is it fair? I mean, that's every right of every team to make that decision. I mean, it was his actions. We can socially give him a pass and say, hey, if it is true, he was a 15-year-old. It's not something to be proud of, but it happened. We can give him a pass socially as a human. But it is absolutely within every team's right to not want to touch that, to not want that anywhere near their name, their organization. I mean, look with Kaepernick, similar thing. We can, have our opinions on it, and half the nation may give him a pass and stand behind him, but it is still within every team's right to not want to sign him. So
great point. Now, I like what you did there, Sin, is we can have our individual opinion on this, whether we want to give this guy a pass and say, okay, you've paid your penance and go be a good human and you can now make millions of dollars playing baseball. But if I don't want to hire you, I don't have to hire you. If I don't want that stigma, now something vile and disgusting and ugly like that, and all Colin Kaepernick did, and I still don't believe in it, but all he did was take a knee. I mean, he didn't physically hurt anybody. He didn't violate any laws. And you're right. He's out. He's out of he threw away millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm wondering what he thinks about that now, because they're not letting him put a Band-Aid on that. So, all right, look, moving on. Hey, man, thanks. I needed 4 coffees this morning I was 2% Joel when I woke up. I'm probably 30% Joel now. So thanks for coming on early and going pillar to post with me. We talked about this a little bit last week. And, the agreements that we make prior to something don't really seem fair after the fact. So Stipe, we love the Stipe, both of us.
Yes.
Stipe had the same opportunity as Daniel Cormier. Now, I know he was locked in. He doesn't like to hear all that noise. But he did get out there a little bit more than he usually does. I have watched him kind of get out of his comfort zone and try to be a little bit more in the media than he had ever done before. He does the Ultimate Fighter show, of which I watched one episode. And then he's out there a little bit. So it was kind of out there in the outfield just a little bit that whoever won that match was going to get a fight with Brock Lesnar. It wasn't official, but DC wins the fight. Lesnar gets up there, causes a ruckus, and now we've got DC and Lesnar. That would have been DC, or that would have been Stipe and Lesnar for a huge, huge, huge payday. Now Stipe lost, and he's like, man, let's run this back. Can we run this back? I agree with him. I don't think DC is going to, but what do you do in that position? Apparently, in UFC contracts, they never have a rematch clause because, I mean, Cody Garbrandt lucks out and gets one, and Stipe doesn't. Historically, if you look at if you look at most of the trilogies that have happened, is the guy that lost. I look at Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. They had to go beat somebody before they could fight again for the championship. So in a case like this, what is the biggest fight to make? Obviously, it's wait for Lesnar to see if he passes. But are they hurt by anything if they do a rematch? And can we as fans make enough noise to say, yeah, let's see that? Because I truly believe in watching that fight, Stipe was very, very comfortable with the way that fight was going. He was like, this dude's not taking me down. I'm gonna peel him apart, and he's gonna fade late. I kind of just in his body, and then he got caught and he got put to sleep. I would love to see a rematch. I think it would be completely different. I think it would be a completely different outcome. But are we ever going to see that rematch? And we get back to the thing: is it fair?
Is it fair? To Stipe, no. I absolutely believe he should get the first rematch. After defending the title 3 times more than any other heavyweight, he certainly should get an immediate rematch. Will they change and make that happen? Absolutely not. Brock DC is 5 times the pay-per-view draw as Stipe DC 2. So do they lose anything if they switch? Yes, because Stipe comes back and wins, then DC's run at heavyweight was a one-off, maybe a fluke, lucky punch, whatever you want to call it. That had Brock and DC at that point, not quite the same fight. Brock Stipe, I just don't think it has the same appeal. I think Stipe's obviously the more proven heavyweight champion, 3 title defenses, but DC is not a huge GSP Brock level draw, but I think he's a bigger draw than Stipe. So all they care about is the money, and they're not going to run it back. Is it fair to Stipe? Absolutely not. Is it going to change? No. Unless Brock, something happens, he fails, Stipe steps in. Beyond that, it's DC Brock, and they're not going to change it.
Anderson Silva comes out and he accepts a 1-year ban for tainted supplement. So he's going to be back in November. Anderson Silva's a pretty smart cookie in terms of he gets it a little bit. He just basically says, hey, maybe this GSP thing could happen. We have new ownerships. This is a new company. This is an entertainment business now. Chael said that. Some other people have said that. We talk about it quite a bit. It is entertainment, and my problem with waiting until February, I think this would be a Super Bowl fight now, is there's nothing on the horizon that either one of us know about that would make us want to buy a ticket and get on a plane and go to. I know, not in the UFC. We'll get to Bellator here in a bit. So I think Brock versus anybody, Brock versus me is going to sell. Brock versus Sweetness, Brock versus anybody's going to sell. I don't think it makes any difference if it's Stipe or DC. The numbers that they're saying they did was 500, maybe 600 grand. That's kind of what I figured it would be going in, especially when you lose you lose Ortega Holloway. How much does that make a difference? I don't know. I think the numbers. I think superstars like Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, I believe they hurt the sport more than they help it, because now 500,000 pay-per-views for that card, which was stacked, is a little bit mind-boggling to me because with half of the promotion, a quarter of the promotion, and a quarter of the rub, Randy Couture went over that number at least 5 times. At least 5 times, if not 7 times. So that is a very, 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 very low number to me, but I think in this point they just accept it. I think what we're going to find out eventually, if this ESPN thing works, is we're going to get our content online for $5-10 a month, including pay-per-views, just like the WWE. The sport is different than it's ever been before. I think there was a fight card last weekend, wasn't there? Didn't somebody fight? Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah, JDS and some Russian I wasn't overly familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. They're running so many of them. They're running so many of them that I lose track, man. I lose track. So to my point, go on.
Oh no, you're right. And you talked about we're all going to get our fight. Yeah, I mean WWE went that model with the network, and I really didn't think that would stick with them foregoing the $40 to $50 a month pay-per-views to get the guaranteed $10 every month for the network. I really didn't think that would stick, but they're running with it. So, maybe that's the way we're going. That it's the monthly access fee, and then you get everything. There is no per buy.
I'm very interested. I'm very interested in where the sport is in 10 years. There is obviously there's obviously a place for it. It's part of the culture now. There's always going to be the UFC. Is there always going to be Bellator? I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Bellator. I like what the Professional Fight League is doing. It's something different. But the fact of the matter that so much money from major corporations are getting dumped in the sport, I don't think it's going anywhere. Obviously, it is not going anywhere. But how does it change sport when I've always thought it was really interesting. I mean, I've always had a very kind of an insider's view on mixed martial arts and its growth over the last 20 years. I always thought it was incredible that really, really successful and rich and powerful people, when they met a badass, they would just be the geek in the classroom that just got the big friend, and it never changes. It's still to this day. More eyes are on professional baseball and professional basketball and all those other sports, and even soccer, the World Cup. The one of the guys was doing the Conor McGregor walk. A guy from France, one of their stars. It's interesting to me to watch more popular sporting players being really, really big fans of fighting. Help me chop that up and make a point for me, because that is going to be non-sequential. I hit a help.
No, you're right with that. I mean, whether it ever gets to the NFL or Major League Baseball level as far as overall viewers and popularity and revenue, that remains to be seen. But it's the idea of what the fighters do, the toughness, the manning up, the going to blows with somebody, that kind of thing. Yeah. So pro athletes in any of the other sports are always going to fanboy fighters. They're always going to admire, imitate, because it's not shooting a ball through a hoop. It's not trying to hit a ball with a stick. It's a primal activity that, as tough as many of these NFL players might be, or these tough guy thug basketball players may be, they're never going to step inside the cage and let somebody punch them in the face and prove that they can outpunch that person. So it's that primal everything that every one of these pro athletes wants to be, but they won't. So they're always going to fanboy they're always going to, look up to them and act like them, because as great as an athlete they may be in their sport, they're not willing to step over that line and do what fighters do.
I like the word I was missing was fanboy. As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what they are. They're all fanboys. All right, so I mentioned the PFL. I mentioned the Professional Fight League, formerly the World Series of Fighting. And within every single week that goes by, either a co-main event or a main event needs to change because somebody's hurt or has some reason in the UFC.
Yep.
These guys that are let's say they are 2 levels down. Let's say that there's the UFC, then there's Bellator, and now taking up the next step. Let's go ahead and call it everybody else. Everybody else that has a cable deal, whether that's One Championships or the Professional Fight League. Now, I like the Professional Fight League because Randy's commentating. I think he is a very good commentator. So that was what drew me to the Professional Fight League. But dude, they're running a show every 2 weeks. Dudes that fought 6 weeks ago just fought last night. They just made weight and they just fought last night. So how is it that the guys that they're doing the same sport, they're fighting pretty high caliber fighters? Jake Shields is one of the guys. He got knocked out in the first round. How is it that these guys make weight, show up, and fight in 6 weeks, but the guys in the UFC can't make it to the cage over and over and over again? It's so bad that in a lot of ways, man, I hate to be a Danamark. I hate to be a Danamark, but I get his point. So you have these guys, they're making weight, they're fighting. They've got $1 million opportunity at the end of the rainbow. And then you have a guy like Brian Ortega who drops the ball a couple weeks ago. He had a chance to take a short notice fight and help the company. He drops the ball. You have a guy like Colby Covington who created all this ruck and fuckus. Fuckus, that should be a word. He created all this fuss, and he got a rub of a certain kind, and he's gaining some popularity. He gets to the spot where he's got a championship fight, the one thing that he's called for all the time. Now he steps back and says, you know what, I'm not going to be ready until November. And the UFC's like, come on, man. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to strip you from your interim. This is reporting. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know how accurate anything is, because the landscape of this sport changes by either somebody agreeing to fight or somebody pulling out of the fight. So they say we're going to give the title fight to Darren Till, who just missed weight. He just missed weight. We're going to give him the title fight, and we're going to strip you. We're going to not give Stipe a rematch, and we're going to give Brock Lesnar, who is suspended. He's currently suspended. He can't even fight. We're going to give him a $1 million payday. So what is going on? Why can't these guys get out of their own way? Everybody's got to quit telling me, I'm training too hard, I'm fighting too hard. Man, you've got such a short window in this sport to make some money and put it away. You need to get in that cage, because it's not going to get any easier. Okay, you got guys like Chris Lieben and Phil Baroni fighting at a carnival for probably $10,000 a piece, which is really, really sad. And you know why they're doing that? Because they're broke. I go do it too. Somebody give me $10,000, wrap my hands, and send me to a carnival, and I'm going to fight. What is going on with the UFC fighter in today that isn't allowing him to make weight and make it to the cage, but other promotions are?
Yeah, and if you think in essence, how often is it happening on the undercard, the Fight Pass card fighters? It's not. at least that we're being made aware of. So what it is these headliners, these top-tier guys, because they're now in that top tier, they think they're somebody. They think there's always going to be the next fight. They'll make it up. They can, you know what I mean, because they're stars. They're owed something, or they can step out because there'll be another one coming down the line for them. They're still going to make money. It's an entitlement thing. To me, in a way, I don't know if that's the right word, the entitlement, but they don't have that same hunger, I think, as PFL or, like I said, the prelim or the Fight Pass guys, because we don't hear of those guys not making weight or those guys pulling out due to injury. It's just not happening like these headliners are, and it's because they're too important now. They've made the top tier of the UFC. They're stars in their own mind. They're too important. So
in their own mind, it's in their own mind. Everybody,
yeah,
everybody has a sample size, and some people's sample size are different. I told you to remind me of Michael Chiesa. So this morning, I might have been about 11% Joel at the time. I'm reading, I'm trying to find something to talk about on the show, and I see a long, drawn-out tweet from Michael Chiesa that things need to change. And I'm like, okay, here we go again. Athlete loses a match, and now he's going to make all these excuses, and he's going to, blame it on everybody else, and he's going to change camps, and he's going to do this, that, and the other. And he actually did the complete opposite. He wore it. He said a couple things that I really, really liked and I really, really respected. Is he said, I need to move up. I need to move up in weight. This is just, people have been telling me forever I need to move up weight. See how that goes. I hope he sticks it out. I hope we change people. I hope people start fighting at the weight class they're supposed to fight at. And it can be an eye contest. Or, it can be I can pick him out. Yeah, you're way too big, Michael, to fight 155. That's crazy. Holloway, you can't make weight at 155. You're not a 45-pounder, even if you can kink the system. So Chiesa comes out, and he just wears it. He says, I'm going up in weight, but more importantly, man, I'm done trying to talk crap. I'm done trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm a hard-working grinder. I became successful by doing just that, and not by running my mouth, because what happens when you start playing a character, you start believing in that character. I watch this happen all the time, over and over and over again. And he's the first guy that I can recall that comes out and just grabs it, wears it, and he had a horrible weight cut. He quit in that match. There's so many different things. If he was thinking those things are real. When you vocalize something, those things are real. When he says he thought he was dying, there was some part of him that thought he was dying. The rest of us, everybody else is like, everybody that's not cutting weight's like, well, if he thought he was dying, why did he keep doing it? Well, you're starved, man. Your brain is not functioning properly. Anybody that has ever cut a bunch of weight knows that's a completely different person. When all you want to do is make weight, and then you got a guy like Anthony Anthony Smith going out there. He has a fight this weekend. He's happy as a lark. He's up at 205. That's his weight. He's actually a favorite over Shogun. I love that. But Chiesa wears it, and man, I just really like that. I think when people, you talk to these athletes, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of these athletes that have been on top, and then they lose that shine, and every one of them have the same reaction to people. They're really, really let down by people because everybody told them how great they were. Everybody around them told them how great they were. And if everybody tells you how great you are, you're probably going to believe it. Everybody around you tells you how great you are. Chances are you're going to start believing it. You're going to start missing out on things that you used to do. And it was good for Chiesa to come out and wear it and say, "Man, that's just not me. I know it's the way everybody is trying to go, but man, they should have to take a class. It's like, if you don't have any personality, you just don't have any personality. You're just gonna grind it out. That's who you are. Keep grinding. Save your money, and see if there's a spot for you. So good for Chiesa. I really like that. It was something that I looked at and I was like, man, finally somebody isn't blaming everybody else on their loss. They're blaming themselves. They're saying, I got out of being who I am, and I'm not going to do that again.
Totally agree. Very refreshing.
So today is the Jim Rome Smack Off. Did you know that?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay, so I had an opportunity a couple years ago. Mike from Indy, he came out and him and Chael did this, did this bit, and I thought it was really good. And I thought they should have won. They didn't win. I think they got like 7th or 5th or something. I don't even remember what they got. But the guy who won it broke into the studio, and apparently last year he broke into the studio too. So this year they can't break into the studio. I didn't know it was yesterday until Chael came over yesterday and he rehearsed his smack off. Yeah, and make sure you don't drop this until after the smack off. All right. So anyway, he comes over and Chael's got this dummy of a friend. Okay, he is a dum-dum. He's not a good human being. He's bad people. He's a scumbag. Okay? He is a bad person. And he has infiltrated himself into the fabric of mixed martial arts to a certain degree. Well, he is employed on different occasions to write material for Chael. And as soon as it doesn't take him how would I know if this scumbag wrote the material? It would take me less than 3 sentences to know, okay, scumbag wrote the material. And the material sucks. And the reason the material sucks is because it's somebody else's material talking like the scumbag that he is. This is how this scumbag talks in life to people. And so somehow Chael goes ahead and on occasion, has him write material for him. It's horrible. It sucks. And he's nowhere near going to win that thing today. But what really sucks is man, the last 2 weeks in talking to Chael on the phone, he's been on fire. He has absolutely been on fire. I think a lot of that has to do with, he's got like 10 different podcasts and 8 different, he's doing a lot of different media through his different podcasts and shows. So a lot of it has to do with that. But he is so much better than the dipshit that writes his material, the scumbag that writes his material. So you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it today. Man, if he wins, he's not going to win. He's not going to win. It's shit. And the guy that wrote it is garbage. So there you go.
Did you write it?
That's beautiful. I love what you just said. That was beautiful right there. That was good, Sin. That was good. The $1 Million Man turns it on the Godfather.
I thought he did well last year, but he went a little too hard in the paint, a little too personal. I thought he would have placed in the top couple last year, and he didn't finish as well. He really burnt the place down. So I'll be interested to see if he takes that angle this year, or if he goes a little different, because he went almost like very insulting last year with his. So I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, I tell you. So then there's this Mike from Indy guy who's gotten like second like 6 or 7 times, and the only time he won it, he won it with Chael. See that that whole thing changed, when people started performing material. The whole thing changed. It used to be pretty pure. People would call in and talk smack, and if they didn't, they would get what was called run. Kind of like Brian Little came on hot a couple weeks ago. That's what that smack off has become. So he's actually going to be up here in studio. So when I finish this show, I'm going to go watch a part of it. Hopefully it gets better. It's not going to get any better. It's shit material. And and the fact that I mean, he does it over and over and over again, man, with this dum-dum. He just, oh God, it's so irritating. It's so irritating because he's just so much better than that. It's like he's so good when you just say, "Hey, go, run with it." When we have conversations and he starts tearing me up, I'm like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant material right there. That's beautiful." But he got no confidence in himself. And he's got some tie to this scumbag,
See, and that's funny because you would think, with his experience and everything, that he would be the one person that would have insane amounts of confidence and wouldn't feel he would need to script anything. Because you're right, just knowing him and talking to him and listening to him. I mean,
in fairness,
maybe everything he ever does is scripted, and we just don't get it.
Oh no, that's not true. I can.
He seems to just be a brilliant talker, straight off the cuff, and he could just pick any random topic and go.
He is. You see, I can always tell what's bullshit and what's not, and he's so much better when he just runs clean. But what happens, and in fairness to him, is this smack off thing has become a scripted. Everybody does it. They have a script. They write it down, and as soon as you write down something that you're going to say, it becomes scripted. So he's got 15 jobs. He's basically lost interest with this smack off. But I mean, going on the Rome show is better than not going on the Rome show. There's a lot of listeners there. He is a marketing genius, so he's got to go put in his time. So I can understand it. I just wish he would crumple it up and throw it away and beat Chael, because then he'd have the best opportunity to win, because off the cuff and off the wit, he is as good as they get. So there you go on that. I wanted to just I just wanted to tell the universe what a horrible, horrible human being that guy is, and I just did. And I didn't mention his name, so I'm not going to get stuck. So now let's move on. Let's move on to Chael versus Fedor in Long Island.
Nassau Coliseum, October 13th.
Now, are you going to go to that, Sin?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's drivable, which makes it twice as nice. I don't have to fly cross country, not that I mind.
Hey, is the baby here yet?
The baby is coming any day. It's not here yet, but we are anxiously awaiting, and my wife is anxious to get it done with. So, any moment.
All right. Well, good luck with that. Okay, so we got Chael versus Fedor. Now, is Mitrione and Ryan Bader the week before or the week after, or is it the day before?
It's the day before in Connecticut at whatever that casino is in Connecticut that they hold Bellator events at.
Oh, that's right. It's at the Mohegan Sun.
So, yeah.
That's a beautiful place.
So
that's
Friday night in Connecticut, and then they'll have those guys. Obviously, they'll make the hour drive over to Long Island, and they'll have the winner of that there to have the proverbial face-off with Chael after he knocks out Fedor in his on Saturday. So, pretty cool little weekend.
Yeah, man, I've watched this guy's career for as long as it has, whatever I'm trying to say. Somebody,
for as long as you have.
There you go. We're sitting around the house yesterday. me, him, and Ladd, and he's reading this garbage. He's trying to memorize this fucking garbage. Sorry for the F-bomb. And we just start talking a little bit about him fighting Fedor, and he's got a really good opportunity to be the heavyweight world champion. And boy, does he have an opportunity to do it at a right time. I mean, he has 2 fights left on his Bellator contract. So look at it in terms of he beats Fedor. Now he's got 1 fight left on his contract. The UFC can't sell a pay-per-view. How much is Chael Sonnen worth with the Bellator strap in the UFC? Don't they have to pay him a ransom? Don't they just have to open up the vault? And, I mean, they would have to pay him FU money, man.
Absolutely.
Do you see what I'm saying? Is because I think Chael still draws. I think Chael going over to the UFC, I still think he does 1 million buys. Am I crazy?
No, absolutely. He would be immediately one of their top 3 stars, pay-per-view draws, if he went back today. Absolutely, without a doubt. And
the one thing I respect about Chael, and I'm not trying to blow him, but in truth, when he's working for a company, he's all in. And me and him, I try to throw those softballs up to him, and he's like, I'm with Bellator. I'm a Bellator guy. They're what's paying the bills. Da 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 da. I respect that, but I mean, let's just be real. He beats Fedor on now. He has 1 fight left on his contract. It's a good position to be in. It is a good position to be in. But boy, it's the last thing. It's the last thing that he needs to be thinking about, man. But it's just part of the world. Do you know what the odds are on that fight? Is he a favorite?
He wasn't last time I looked. Let me look here now.
Now the biggest reason, the biggest, I try to motivate him with things that'll stick in his head, and man, over the years I've figured out what works and what doesn't. This is the Team Quest Championship. This is the rubber match. He got Lindland. Fedor got Lindland. Danny got Fedor. This is the rubber match. And for a guy like Chael, he came up in Peninsula Park Wrestling, and he bleeds Peninsula Park Wrestling. Where he started off at Team Quest, he's still that guy. Any one of those guys ask him for a favor, he's down. So his biggest motivator is this one's for the Team Quest belt. This is for the honor of the club.
That's awesome. I didn't piece all that together.
I think he just wears them out. I mean, he's got 84 days to get in that that shape that he's going to need to get in. Do they go 3 rounds or 5? They go 5, don't they?
Yeah, this will be 5. This is the main event.
So him and Rampage went 5? Or was that just a 3 round?
What? No, you're right. They did only go 3. So Bellator might run it a little different now that you point.
Yeah, because it's not for a champ. I hope it's a 3-rounder. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I hope it's a 3-rounder, but it doesn't matter. Fedor is only going to have power for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So there you go. Chael's had 9 lives in this business. He really has. So he'll probably come out smelling like a rose on this. He'll probably beat Fedor, and somebody's going to pay him $1 million. I would like to see him end up back in the UFC, just because they need him. They need him in a lot of different ways. He's already in with ESPN, so it's a good position to be in.
Yeah. And Fedor is a -245 favorite. Chael is at +175.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I like that bet. For sure. I'll go with Chill all day on that. Let's see. Covington, Till, Ortega, Lionheart. Man, here we go. You're still a WWE fan, is that correct?
Yeah, for the most part, not a diehard, but my oldest daughter gets into it. We actually went to a show this past weekend. So yeah, we're casual fans. We watch.
So there was some mention. First off, I haven't been able to make it through a show in so long. I think the best performer out there is what's that cat's name? He was part of the Shield.
Roman Reigns?
No.
Or Seth Rollins?
Seth Rollins. I think he's the best performer in there. I think you need to see an AJ Styles, Seth Rollins feud. But the product's been so bad for so long. Man, I can't get through anything, but I am telling you what, that Ronda Rousey is killing it.
She is damn good.
Man, is she good. Oh, and she doesn't, I mean, as a performer, like, get away, like, if you can't, if you're not going to kill it on the stick, get away from the stick. But, man, performance-wise, man, she's murdering it. She is murdering it. I will, I have the WWE Network because it's worth it if you just watch WrestleMania. I mean,
yeah.
And one other, I mean, what I don't think it's $10 a month, is it?
That's what it is, $9.99.
Yeah, what a brilliant marketing strategy. Here's $100 for you. Let me give a million people do this. Yeah, I think that's where. But she's doing great. I cannot stand the Braun Strowman angle, and the one guy that they just can't get over is Roman Reigns. They just can't get that guy over.
They've tried. They have tried to push him, but yeah, he doesn't get the pop. And I've been there live, seen him, and when him and Lesnar were having the fight feud. Yeah, I just don't think he's ever going to get over.
Yeah, it's amazing for, I mean, most diehard guys like me that have been watching professional wrestling forever don't really like the product anymore. They just don't really like the product. Nothing gets them going, but it isn't for me. It's for those kids, and there's so many of them that they're getting into it, just like your daughter. You guys, you take her to an event. When it comes in, she gets excited. Those kids are pulling the ship. So, yeah, Ronda's doing great. Can't stand the Braun Strowman push. But those guys are making billions of dollars.
Yep, and with Ronda, surprisingly, what I find somewhat entertaining to watch anymore, which is a surprise to myself, the women's division is actually very entertaining, far more than it was during the pure diva with Stacy Keibler and some of those just, they try to bring in the swimsuit models and make them wrestlers. They're actually, even watching them live, there was a couple women's matches at the event we went to Saturday. They're very athletic now and very good. I mean, it speaks to what Ronda's doing, but
yeah, now you're starting to
maybe the best possible performer across the board. Charlotte Flair is an incredible performer.
Oh my God,
great in the ring.
She's incredible, and she's got some stones, man. She does that backflip off of anything. That's crazy, man. I mean, you've got buddy. She'll do what's it called, the wonton, whatever it is. She'll do a backflip. Yeah. She'll do a backflip off the top rope onto the floor. I mean, you got to trust those people are going to catch you, man. Wow.
Absolutely.
All right, so listen. The reason I segued into that is there was some news out there that Cain Velasquez has been training at the WWE Performance Center.
Really?
Yeah, so if he's training at the WWE Performance Center, they're getting ready to sign him to a contract.
That I believe, because as I said before, he's not coming back into the cage. He's been out too long. He's been too beaten up. There's no way he's coming back.
Okay,
so he can make. Yeah.
No, go on. Sorry.
No, go.
Well, see, I'm glad you. I wish I'd have let you finish your point. He's been beat up. Why does he think? Why does he think he's going to be less beat up in the WWE than in a fight where he's most of the time going to be the dominant performer?
Yeah, absolutely. And when he had the back injuries, right? That was his first and foremost, the one that really knocked him out for a while was the back. And if there's anything that you're going to be taking a beating on in the WWE, it's going to be that. So yeah, I don't see how he thinks it's going to be any less physical, unless he thinks he's going to get the Brock treatment, perform when you want, a few times a year, and give all the beatings. You know what I mean? And not
give all the beatings. I want to be the guy that gets that job. You are hired to give all the beatings. Yeah, man, I don't see it. Maybe they got a Latino connection that he can draw on. I personally don't see it. I would rather see DC. I could see DC over there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see Kane having the personality unless he is going to take on the luchador mask and, just be a silent performer. But, I don't see that either. So, yeah, I don't see him being a great fit over there.
All right, well, Sin, I'm done, man. I think we put something together. I think we put something on the board. I'm gonna run over to the Smack Off and watch old Chael P do his level best, and then I'm gonna go about my week. Guys, I'll get some more content out for you next week, and then me and Sin will be back next Friday on the big show. Sin, you got anything?
No, I don't. But next week, let's get back with the callers, guys. We've got huge download numbers, so I know people are listening. Let's get some people calling in. Don't be sheepish. Don't be scared.
Yeah, you guys send me messages. You guys send me messages. You send me messages all the time asking me about this, that, and the other. Just call in. Call in. Yeah. All right, brother, I'm out.
All right, bro.
All right, peace.
Peace.